What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Nerd Media. And last night I sat down and rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And as soon as I was done with that rewatch, I was like, you know what? I have to make a video about this movie because it deserves the title of amazing. And in this video, I'm going to explain why I think that, what I still think doesn't work with this film, just overall talking about some of the best moments of this movie and what I think really makes it awesome and really makes it amazing. Because there are some very, very great moments in here. But we are going to be talking about all that and more in this video today. So with all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below what your opinion is on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I know there's been a lot more people in recent years that have kind of grown to really enjoy it more and more. I personally have always thought that I enjoyed it, but I think after that rewatch, I just love this movie. And with all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts, and let's dive right into the video. So The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is considered by a lot of people to be the worst Spider-Man movie. In my opinion, the worst Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man Far From Home. But I do think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has by far the worst set of villains that we've seen for any live action Spider-Man movie. I think that it is not necessarily a good decision to have Electro and Green Goblin in one movie. And I feel like, honestly, on rewatch, I think the build up to Green Goblin and Harry becoming him is very well done. And if the story was solely just that, and we didn't have random cuts over to Max being Electro, like how we do in like the first half of the movie, I think we would have had a better movie on our hands. But I do think that a lot of people would have disliked it for the fact that Harry becomes Goblin. I do think that it works well for the story and what they are presenting to us. And I mean, it's not necessarily going to be exactly comic accurate, but I think it would have been a more solid and condensed film if that were the case. And Electro could have done without him, or we could have done without Harry. I mean, it could go either way. I just think that with what happens with Gwen, it would make more sense if Harry stayed as the main villain. And that's really the only complaint that I find myself having after this rewatch. Besides the whole Peter's parents stuff, I don't really like that opening scene as much, and I don't like how much time we really spend on it, but it does give us some really, really emotional moments, and I really do appreciate it for that. But those are really the only two flaws I have after this rewatch, which is saying a lot considering that I feel like I should have a lot more to criticize about this movie, but I just can't because it's amazing. And luckily, I can obviously look past those two things because we do get some really awesome action sequences with Electro, so I cannot be complaining because the Electro fights, they cooked with those so hard in this movie. I mean, I couldn't get over it when I was watching it last night. I almost had forgotten how much they cooked with the third act. I think the third act of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is perfection. I mean, the first part is probably the worst. The first 30 minutes in the first act, probably not the best. And then the second act is the second best. It kind of goes in order there. I just love the third act. I mean, the emotion, the action, the storytelling, I feel like it was at an all-time high and all-time peak there. And it was just so good. I mean, it is just an awesome and amazing movie. And I am probably going to get hate for this video, but I'm just expressing my love for Spider-Man because this rewatch really changed my opinion on this film. But yeah, like I said, third act, great action in this movie, so visually stunning to look at and so entertaining. The Spider-Man dynamic that Peter fully embracing Spider-Man, throwing around quips and being really just jolly and hopeful is something that I feel like we haven't necessarily gotten to the level that we get in this film, and I just adore it so much because that is such a Spider-Man thing that you essentially need for a film to have for a Spider-Man movie. I mean, it just feels like you should have that. Unfortunately, we don't get too much of that nowadays recently with Tom Holland films. We got it a lot in Homecoming, but ever since then, it's kind of been drifted away from. So I think that that is something that I will heavily appreciate from this film because they get a lot of things right, especially with Peter and Spider-Man. Don't even get me started on the Spider-Man suit. The suit in this film is phenomenal. It's my favorite Spider-Man live action suit, at least until we see the new Tom Holland red and blue suit in live action for a full movie. We've gotten it already, but we haven't really actually seen it up close in person, just in motion walking around. Hopefully we're going to see that in Doomsday and maybe Spider-Man 4, depending on if they want to sell toys or not and change up his suit, which unfortunately they may do that. It's the best Spider-Man suit. I mean, there's no question about that at all. But by far, the number one thing that makes me adore and love and appreciate this movie so much is the love story that you have with Peter and Gwen. That love story, I think, is probably the best that we've seen for any Spider-Man film ever. I mean, I'm not going to count the comics or anything, and I'm not going to count the Gwen and Miles story yet because we haven't seen that story come to a close. But, in terms of Tom Holland's Peter and MJ, in terms of Toby's Peter and MJ, I think this is the best one. It is so well done, so well written, and the unfortunate close that this film goes on, I think, is just very heartbreaking, but you feel it because of how much you believe their relationship and how much you actually enjoy seeing those two interact. Like, regardless of everything, even some of the amazing things that I think about this movie, that love story is by far the best thing in this film, and it is some of the best Spider-Man moments and Peter Parker moments that we get for all of the movies. I want to take a second to talk about two moments that are specifically about Spider-Man helping the little guy. There's one montage of Peter going out, saving this kid who's being bullied with a science project. You guys probably know it. You've probably seen clips of it. And you probably already recognize what I'm talking about from the movie. That scene alone of him just walking the kid to school, fixing a science project, is exactly what Spider-Man is. And I am so unfortunately saying this that we do not get enough of that in Spider-Man movies. Seeing Spider-Man help a little kid or seeing Spider-Man just help one individual person is something that we need to see more and more. We do see slightly some of it in Homecoming, but we need to see more of that. And I think that it was so well displayed here. And I just really, really, really love that scene. The second scene I'm going to be talking about always makes me cry at the end. It's at the very end of the movie when the same kid goes out to inspire hope while dressing up as Spider-Man against Rhino, and then you see Peter come behind him, and I just love, love, love that scene. That scene always brings me to tears because of how much like the character that is, and it's just moments like that just really, really remind you why we all love Spider-Man. And it's also moments like that where you think, I really hope that we get something like that in Superman, because that's exactly what I was thinking during those two moments, because that's the next big film that really shows that kind of hopeful side of a superhero that you would really see that in. And I really do feel like James Gunn probably went there and did some stuff like that. So props to him, but obviously we haven't seen the movie yet, and we still have 3.5 more months. But man, I mean, if we don't get moments like that in Superman, I will definitely be slightly disappointed. But I think that we will, so very exciting stuff. I'm going to stop glazing The Amazing Spider-Man 2 right now because I know there are going to be a lot of people out there who just immediately rush to hate on the film in the comments, but this is just my opinion. I'm not just saying that this is a great film that everybody should think it is. I think it's amazing, and I think that it's very well done. And it does have weak points, obviously, like I mentioned at the very beginning, but the good always outweighs the bad for this movie, and there's way more good than there is bad, in my opinion. So that's just my opinion. So if you guys have other opinions, share them in the comments. I'd love to hear them, and I'd love to hear your side of things. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.